The GameCube version of Dakar 2, the world's ultimate rally, has a surprise Game Boy Advance connectivity feature. I know what you're thinking though, some forgotten, overlooked niche racing game, right? Who cares, I'm not going to give this one a second thought. Well, you wouldn't be wrong because it isn't exactly the best racing game ever made. However, Dakar 2 is literally two racing games in one thanks to the GBA linking feature. The rumor is the Game Boy Advance version of Dakar was cancelled well into development. And instead of scrapping the project entirely, the devs somewhat salvaged the project by making this unreleased GBA version downloadable from the GameCube version. Accessible from the main menu, there is only one downloadable track available by default. To unlock the other 11 tracks, the main GameCube game will need to be cleared. And no, inputting the Unlock All cheat code will not unlock the GBA tracks. With a Game Boy Advance connected with a GameCube link cable, individual tracks can be downloaded to the GBA. In other words, by playing the console version, players are rewarded with a playable demake version, which I think is pretty cool. There are a dozen tracks available, but each one has many similarities. Besides reusing assets, each track has 4 gameplay options. The first is a simple, straightforward time trial. Challenge number 1 has the player collecting a bunch of coins on each lap. Challenge option 2 penalizes the player by hitting traffic cones. And challenge option 3 basically mixes everything into one, providing the highest amount of difficulty. It's important to mention this is single player only and there's no way to share, download, or save fastest times. There are no AI racers either. While this is understandable for being a downloadable GBA program, it's weird that the game just keeps going until you hit start and quit back to the main menu. So while it's cool that these demade tracks are available, they're rather limited in scope due to the extreme hardware limitations. Still cool, just limited. Surprisingly, there are a few vehicles available and they each handle a little differently. The big pickup truck, for example, has a fat ass so it fishtails a lot, whereas the standard car is a little more accurate and speedy. A accelerates, B is the brake, R is the handbrake, and L pointlessly honks the horn, which sounds terrible. Uniquely, the first downloadable GBA option isn't even a racing track, it's a downloadable virtual instruction manual on how to play this GBA version. I don't know, it's a little unnecessary, but still admire how thorough this linkable GBA system really is. There's some detail here too. Like, each drivable car is a fully rendered, nice looking 3D model that rotates fluidly, especially considering this is all stored in a tiny amount of GBA RAM. There's even an impressive shadow effect where the car darkens when it drives through a building's shadow. There is no music, as there most likely wasn't enough memory left, but the sound effects are actually pretty good. Like, some tracks have a helicopter whirling blade sound effect that fades with distance. My biggest complaint though is that there's no minimap or turn indicator. Some tracks have alternate routes and awkward jumps, so it can be a little confusing and it's easy to get turned around in spots. But again, I'm guessing there simply wasn't enough memory for features like these. Okay, so let's take a quick look at each of the 12 tracks. The first track is called Artuous, and it's a straightforward street race composed of simple turns. It acts as a good starter course. The second track is called Le Parc, and the description states, "Round the Moulin Rouge," whatever that means. But it has a windmill and some alt routes. Third is the La Petite Ville, and it has one of those tough jumps. If you miss it, you need to go all the way back around. This is one of the more tedious tracks. Fourth is Sunbaked, and it's the first rocky course, has some metal bridges and a waterfall. Next is Canyon Run, and it's basically the same course as Sunbaked. Sixth is Driving on the Edge, which has some jumps, some waterfalls, and it's a longer track. Seventh is Savannah, has a sandy theme, and it's one of those courses where it's easy to get turned around thanks to the confusing jumps. Eighth is Muddy River, and it has a lot of those annoying mud puddles that slow you down. Ninth is Mud Bath, and it has tighter corridors, another tedious jump, and some more puddles. 10th is Sahara, and it's a beach stage with a lot of little bumps. 11th is the Dry Heat, and it's another beach stage that has one big alternative path. And the final downloadable Game Boy Advance track is Dakar Beach, which is a longer track with a couple of branching paths. At the end of the day, these glorified time trials are not that special gameplay-wise. They are restricted to single player only, times can't be saved, and the track design isn't exactly the best. But that doesn't mean this extra gameplay feature is any less impressive. Like, there's no need to include 12 tracks, just having one would have been cool. And even the UI and the downloading linking screen has been designed with a ton of thought and care. And having multiple challenge options brings some replay value for those willing to connect at GBA. So who knew that a forgettable and easily overlooked racing game would have such a notable feature? But what do you think? Have you ever played Dakar 2? Did you know about this game within a game feature? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to learn more about the Cube to GBA connectivity, check out my dedicated playlist right here on my channel. Until next time, thank you for watching and game on!